It's Milana Mil, and for this video I thought about talking a little bit about creating backgrounds and what helped me to create backgrounds, because I used to be awful at doing them and I'm still not good. And also I'm showing you this background practice I did. It's uncut except for the very end because the file got corrupted, but you will just kind of see my work in progress, and that's why I thought about talking this subject. Now I first start with a just basic shape. So I used a brush with a low density, so low opacity brush, and it just kind of went over the picture really fast, just kind of putting basic sort of shadows and shapes in place, just to kind of see where everything goes. And then I start rendering the picture. And here's the important thing, is that if you try to do this the same way that I do, it's very important that your brush is low opacity, that you do not use the brush at its full opacity. Because here's the thing, when I start rendering my picture, as you can see, I'm color picking the colors that are already in the picture. So I'm not really choosing any new colors. I'm using the colors that is already in the picture. So if you use like really hard brush, then you have going to be hard trouble color picking the individual colors, because when you use a brush with low opacity, and let's say that at first you put green on your canvas and then you put red on the top of that green, and you're gonna get mid-tones in between. You're gonna make so that the colors overlap. So if you have like or let's say you have a blue and red color and they overlap at one part, you're gonna have various shades of purple, and you can just color pick that purple. That's why you want to have a low opacity. But what really helped me to create backgrounds, because I'm not very good at creating backgrounds, and I used to have like a huge problems with colors and how to create a good sort of color balance. That's why I found it really useful when I started with just a rough shape with a low opacity brush, because it kind of blends to the background as well. So make sure that you have the background color. If there's a sky or whatever, if the sky is blue, for example, then make sure that you already have the background color and you don't start with white canvas, because that way the picture is going to blend to the background a lot better. But I used to be really awful at backgrounds myself. I had a lot of troubles with them. I didn't know anything about the perspective, and my colors were, goddamn, they were horrible. No idea about this sort of like balance or value, and it just looked like a total trash. So what really helped me to kind of create backgrounds was this study from life. And what it means is, it's kind of easy to say that, oh, just study from life, but if you don't know how to do it, it's gonna be kind of hard. Like, okay, but how do you study from life? So what I do myself is, when I go outside, and you can do this right now. You don't even have to go to outside. You can just look at your room. Go to some corner and then look at your room as a whole, and imagine that what you see is not a 3D but a 2D canvas. Imagine that what's in front of you is a flat picture, and then you kind of have to use your mind to translate the things that you think are 3D into true 2D form. For example, if you see let's say a bottle. A bottle is usually a shape of a tube, okay? But we all know that if we draw a bottle bottle or a glass or whatever, it's suddenly not tube anymore. It's more like a plank. Like when you put a plank, you know, just a basic floor plank and a bottle next to each other, you realize that they're totally different shapes. But in 2D, they are exactly the same shape because there is no dimension. There is only a height and the width, but there is no dimension. And that is the idea of studying from life, translating things that you see into 2D form. And this is what my teacher always told me, that draw what you see and not what you think you see. And that has become, after I learned what it really meant, or after I was able to realize how to do it, it helped me a great amount of time. And I do the same when it comes to colors. This helped me to improve on my colors, because colors have always been my biggest weakness. They are, I've had a lot of troubles with color balance and creating a good combination. So again, what I do, I look things that are in front of me, and I imagine that if I had a color wheel, like you see that on the top of the side, I have this color wheel, and it has all the colors plus how bright or dark it is, and you know, and how vibrant the color is. So what you do is that you look at the things that are in front of you and you pick something, okay? It can be an object or anything. And now you ask yourself that if I had a color picking tool, you know, the color pick that you can use to pick colors from canvas, if I could color pick all these colors in this item, what color would it be? Would it be blue or green or purple? Because, for example, when we look at something, I have, right now, I'm holding in my hand, I have a bottle, an energy drink bottle, because I'm an artist and I work overnight. And it's black. So I'm looking at it right now, and if I know that it's black, but if you were to ask me, well, if I had a color picking tool, what colors would it have? Well, it reflects my lamps, therefore it has yellow in it, these yellow dots. It also has a brown lining. It has blue on the sides. It reflects my skin color, therefore it has slightly bit of very grayish orange, dark grayish orange, so basically brown, but a slightly more orange. And it has a lot of other colors as well, but I wouldn't use a black and gray to shade it. I would use probably black mixed with browns and yellows to shade it. Just like when you see any kind of object, you take it, you look at it and wonder, if I had a color picking tool, what colors would I use? And that is the way that you can learn to understand the world around you, because the world is confusing, okay? 3D world is confusing, but when you translate the 3D world in your mind to 2D form, it's suddenly a lot easier to understand. And this picture is it's actually starting to become pretty ready, which is great. I'm adding some lighten, I might use a lighten shadow for this. But speaking of that, another thing that people also ask me is, or has started to ask me recently, is what brushes do I use? And I use only two brushes. God, that was hard. And it's a standard airbrush. It's normal brush that comes with a Photoshop. I have not changed the brush anyway. I only change the opacity of the brush and the hardness and the size, obviously the size, but I sometimes make the brush a little bit softer and sometimes a little bit harder. Then I also use watercolor brush, and that is also a standard brush, and I use it for blending. But mostly I used just an airbrush and nothing else. But yeah, the picture is actually almost ready. I did add a little bit more shadows, but you know, bye bye!